Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going after that invisible enemy, procrastination, laziness even.
That thing we all wrestle with.
Exactly. And we're digging into a text called Asino that really breaks it down. Because we know that feeling of wanting to do something but just not.
Mm-hmm. And the core idea, right off the bat, is that it's often less about pure willpower.
Right. I always thought it was just me being lazy.
Well, sometimes, maybe. But the text suggests it's more about how our brains are fundamentally wired. They're built for survival, for conserving energy.
Ah, okay. Like that ancient programming.
Precisely. Our brains naturally resist things that seem like they'll require a lot of effort or things that are, outside the usual routine. Change feels risky, energetically expensive.
So that feeling of, I don't want to, that's kind of the brain hitting the brakes.
Sort of a default setting kicking in, yeah. It prefers the path of least resistance.
Okay, so if our brains naturally resist, how do we, work with that? The text talks about tiny steps.
Yeah, super small steps. It sounds almost silly sometimes. Like, instead of, I need to write this book, I'll just write one sentence.
One sentence. Or instead of, I have to exercise for an hour.
Just aim for 2 minutes. Seriously, 2 minutes.
It feels counterintuitive, but the idea is that these actions are so small.
They fly under the radar. They don't trigger that big resistance alarm in your brain. It feels, almost effortless, cognitively cheap.
And then momentum builds from there.
Exactly. That one sentence often turns into two, or a paragraph, those 2 minutes of exercise. Once you're up and moving, it's much easier to just keep going for a bit longer. It's about lowering the barrier to starting.
Okay, that makes sense. Then building on that, the text brings up routines, creating systems.
Yes, automating things.
Yeah.
Because every little decision we make during the day drains mental energy.
Like deciding what to wear or what to work on first.
Exactly. So the text suggests setting things up beforehand, like leave the book you want to read out on the table.
Or get your workout clothes ready the night before. Little things that remove a decision point.
Right. It makes a desired action the path of least resistance. The text even says habit is stronger than willpower. You're essentially outsourcing the effort to the system you created.
I like that. Less daily struggle, which then ties into the 2-minute rule, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic fallback for those days when you have absolutely zero motivation.
We all have those.
Definitely. And the rule is just start the task, whatever it is, for only 2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes again.
Yep, because apparently the brain doesn't really differentiate the start of a 2-minute task from the start of a longer one. Getting started is the hard part, once you're in motion.
It's easier to stay in motion. Newton's first law for productivity.
Kind of, yeah. It just tricks your brain into beginning.
So if these strategies work, why do so many of us still fail with procrastination? The text points out some common pitfalls, right?
It does. A big one is waiting for motivation to strike.
The inspiration fallacy.
Right. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Relying on it is setting yourself up for failure. Another mistake is starting too big.
Like vowing to run a marathon next month when you haven't run in years.
Exactly. That leads to burnout super quickly. And the third thing is not dealing with that daily decision fatigue we mentioned. Letting all those small choices pile up and drain your reserves.
Okay, so avoid waiting for the mood, start small, and build systems. The text then really emphasizes starting now.
Yes, there's a sense of urgency. Time is finite. Every day you delay is a day you're further from where you want to be. Setting goals is fine, but it's the action, even tiny action, that actually matters.
The small steps, again, even just 2 minutes today is infinitely better than 0 minutes.
Absolutely. And it circles back to that initial point about the brain's wiring. It's about actively choosing, consistently, to override that default desire for comfort and ease. You get to decide.
You choose who you become, rather than just letting your brain's defaults run the show.
Well put.
So let's wrap this up with that direct question the text poses to you listening. Are you someone who just talks about changing things, or are you someone who actually starts today?
It's quite pointed. The text gives us both the warning time is slipping, but also a really practical plan.
Yeah, it's not just theory. If any of this resonated, if you felt that, oof, that's me, then now really is the moment.
These are concrete things you can implement immediately, not tomorrow, not next week.
And the easiest first step, the absolute minimum.
Start with just 2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.